If you want to get in contact with me, the best way to do it is on Instagram. If you just want to say what up, if you want to tell me you love my videos, you can tell me that you hate my videos, but the best way to do that is on Instagram. Peace, y'all. Johnny Fastlane here. So, Fred the Godson has passed away due to complications with COVID-19. And A$AP Rocky says that he's the reason why everybody rocks Air Force Ones. Plus, Joe Budden says he could beat Fabolous and Lloyd Banks in an Instagram battle. Let's talk hip-hop. Alright, Joe, I talked about this like 2 weeks ago, right? And it's so crazy because like this coronavirus thing is like real and it's hitting home, right? And you know, I kind of laughed about it and joked about it a little bit 2 weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, you know, because Slim Thug got coronavirus, right? Fabolous said that he, not Fabolous, Styles P said that he might have thought he got it. Meek Mill said it too, right? So then Fred the Godson's like, yo, I got coronavirus, right? And the way that he even like went on Twitter was like, yo, I'm here with this coronavirus shit. Like even he thought that he was gonna beat it, right? The coronavirus, it works crazy because the thing is though that Fred the Godson has passed away due to coronavirus complications. The thing is that, you know, the first 2 weeks that you have it, you don't even know that you have it, right? You're walking around asymptomatic or with no symptoms at all. But during those 2 weeks, you can still spread it to people, right? And so he had it probably a month ago and didn't know it, right? But then 2 weeks ago, he started getting symptoms, right? And, you know, you get the symptoms, they're cold symptoms, they're flu-like symptoms for the next 2 weeks, right? And then after that, you go into 1 week of like pneumonia in your lungs and all that stuff like that because coronavirus basically travels down into your lungs, right? So really and truly, you have it probably for about maybe 5 weeks altogether. The first 2 weeks, you don't feel it. The second 2 weeks, it feels like the flu. The last week is when it really gets you. And when you survive that last week, you'll be good to go, right? And Fred the Godson did not survive that last week, which is this week here, right? And, you know, he probably had some pre-existing conditions, right? And they say like elderly people whose body can't fight that hard, or people that are maybe overweight, or maybe have diabetes, or maybe have other, you know, asthma or other health conditions, which is why they let 6ix9ine out of prison, you know, early, saying that those people could fall victim to, you know, COVID-19, just like Fred the Godson did, yo. And this is crazy, man. He has a wife, he has kids, you know, he's a dope-ass rapper and a huge inspiration in hip-hop, right? XXL freshman 2011, right? And just a dope-ass nigga from the Bronx, right? Horrible, right? But let's just hope that, you know, he is the last person that, you know, us as far as hip-hop loses to coronavirus, man. This is insane. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Alright, so A$AP Rocky, right, is a straight up fool, right? Because, alright, he goes online, right, and he's like, yeah, I started the Air Force One craze, or the reason why a lot of people today rock Air Force Ones is because of A$AP Rocky, right? And so Twitter just kind of like attacked A$AP Rocky and was like, is this nigga on crack or something like that? Like, do you not know, have you never heard of a little old guy called, I don't know, Nelly, right, who came out with a song like 18 years ago? Talking about Air Forces and Air Force Ones and how he needs 2 pair, give him 2 pair, and how he be stopping in his Air Force Ones. And thinking about just Nelly, but the whole Saint Lunatics, like what the fuck is A$AP Rocky talking about? Niggas are rocking Air Forces for 20, 25 years, right? So just because, and all right, fine, right? A$AP Rocky, to his credit, he does rock Air Force Ones all the time, right? He probably got 1,000 pairs, right? He probably got every color, all of that, right? But the whole thing is that just because people see you rocking Air Forces, it's not like you started a whole wave and people like, oh, if A$AP Rocky got on Air Forces, I'm gonna do it too, right? Hip hop is a huge influence, right? And when Nelly came out with that song Air Force Ones, I'm telling you right now, a lot of people attributed Air Forces to Nelly and the Midwest, right? Which is crazy. So, all right, Murphy Lee, he's in the remix to Welcome to Atlanta, right? And in that remix, he says that, you know, St. Louis is the home of Air Forces, Chucks and back porches, right? Or the home of back porches, Chucks and Air Forces. And when I heard, you know, him say that, I was like, whoa, okay, right? Y'all really claiming this Air Force shit, right? But that was like 17 years ago, right? Really and truly, Chucks are California, and I feel like Air Forces are really a New York kind of thing, right? Yes. Nelly and the Saint Lunatics made it popular back in 2002 when they dropped that song. But even before that, and way before A$AP Rocky, when he was just a snot-nosed kid, I remember being in school, and I'm talking about like junior high, when they used to call Air Forces NYCs, right? And on the back of Air Forces, it used to say NYC, right? And I wish I had like a pair of like old Air Forces, but it definitely said NYC on the back, right? We call them NYCs. Every summer, you need a new pair of NYCs, right? And people like in Harlem and the Bronx, I'm from Brooklyn, but people in Harlem and the Bronx used to rock Air Forces hard body, right? This was way before Nelly, you know, all of that, right? And that's why we even here in New York, we called them uptowns, because like Harlem and the Bronx, like that's uptown, right? I'm in Brooklyn, that's kind of like downtown. But of course, you know, the whole fashion spread even to Brooklyn and other parts of New York too. But really they kind of started rocking like Air Forces uptown, right? And then yeah, sure, St. Louis said, yo, Air Forces are our thing. And New York was like, all right, cool, like the Air Forces are your thing, right? But damn sure, and here's the thing, right? A$AP Rocky is from Harlem, but he just damn sure did not start the trend of Air Forces, right? So Twitter reacts, right? So Twitter, somebody is like, A$AP Rocky says he's the reason everyone wears Air Force Ones. Oh, hell no. Nelly and all the Saint Lunatics gonna beat that ass of yours. Nelly is the reason people are still wearing Air Force Ones, right? Somebody says, I had never heard of A$AP Rocky at the time, but Nelly had me owning like 5 or 6 pairs of Air Forces in high school, right? Even Andrew Barker, who was Valet, the rapper Valet's manager, actually went online, on Twitter, he put up this picture of Jada Kiss. This is back in like the year 2000, right? Before Nelly. And way before A$AP Rocky, and he goes, I could be wrong, but on a national level, Jada Kiss, not Nelly, was the first rapper I really heard rapping about Air Force Ones. He rapped about them a few times on We Are the Streets in 2000, my nigga, and had people losing it when he showed these on the Knock Yourself Out video, which are the Gucci Air Forces, right? So yeah, Air Forces have been around way before A$AP Rocky's crazy comments. They also been around, you know, before Nelly, but yes, Nelly and the Saint Lunatics are the reason why Air Forces are so popular in hip hop today, but they have been around since even before that, right? In New York, at least, and that's where I grew up. So let me know what you think about this in the comments. Yo, so last week, Joe Budden was wilding out on his podcast, right? And I didn't even really talk about it because it was sort of like trolling, but then he had to come back and double down or maybe apologize. The whole situation is, right? Like Joe Budden goes on his podcast and, you know, everybody's doing like battles on Instagram, different producers, different rappers, whatever, right? So Joe Budden says that he could win a battle against either Lloyd Banks or Fabolous, right? As far as like mixtape music goes, right? So he's not talking about, and here's the thing, right? A lot of the whole point about having a hit battle is to recognize those hits, right? So when Nelly went against like Little John, when T-Pain went against Little John, it was like, whoa, we know all those Little John joints, we know all those T-Pain joints, hit for hit battle, which hits are better, right? If you're doing a mixtape battle, you're not really focused on the hits, right? So I don't think that a mixtape battle is even fair, because most things on mixtapes are B-side songs, right? Or throwaway songs, right? But if you know, Joe Budden does a hit for hit battle with a Fabolous or with a Lloyd Banks, he's losing, man, you know? And so it's funny as hell because he went on his podcast and he's like, you know what, I owe an apology to Lloyd Banks, right? And he's like, he didn't even called up Lloyd Banks, and they kind of laughed about it, or who would win a battle. But Joe Budden basically said, look, I apologize, because if he starts pulling out that G-Unit shit, I lost, right? But come on now, first of all, Lloyd Banks, he's a great rapper, and so is Fabolous, and so is Joe Budden, right? So we're not talking about lyrics, because if we're talking lyrically, I honestly don't know who would dominate who. know if we talk lyrically Joe Budden, Fabolous, or Lloyd Banks. I don't know, right? Joe Budden and Fabolous came up together. They were both down with Desert Storm. Lloyd Banks was down with G-Unit, but they all came out of like the same early 2000s, late 90s kind of era, and they all are very, very lyrical. So I don't know who would win at that, right? But as far as like hits go, it's Fabolous. I mean, like, let's be for real. Fabolous is killing, you know, Lloyd Banks hit for hit. I don't give a damn if Lloyd Banks pulls out anything from G-Unit, right? Hit for hit, Fabolous is killing niggas with the shit that he came out back with Little Mo. You feel me? Not to mention, she be killing them. Yeah, she be killing them. Not to mention Breathe, you know, and all that other shit. Like, Fabolous got hits, right? Lloyd Banks got some shit too, right? But as far as Fabolous goes, he's still killing Lloyd Banks, and Lloyd Banks is killing Joe Budden, right? As far as hits, I'm not talking lyricism, I'm talking hits, right? Joe Budden might have like focus, let's focus, man, and pump it up. He's like 2 or 3 hits, right? But if we're talking a hit battle, Joe Budden loses to Fabolous and Lloyd Banks, right? But I don't know, man. That's just my opinion. Let me know what y'all think about this and everything else in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Follow me at Johnny Fastlane on Instagram, and y'all already know what to do. Peace.